The time has come for the lioness to tell her own story.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice. Rastafari.
Within the Trinity, I say all that to say within the Trinity, which represents the mother, father, and the child, right? Who brings the life forward is the woman, is the mother. So she literally is the creator. And as I was doing in my presentation before, look at the term was zero. The word one. However, we know one is not the first number. Zero is the first number. So I connected the word zero with the number zero. You know, her being the dark hole, the nothingness where all things came from. You know, so she literally has a certain divine nature within her that should be reverenced and should be honored and acknowledged as the Alpha. However, we've been taught that Haile Selassie is Alpha and then Empress Menen is Omega. However, for me, through the revelations, I've seen it different. Our mother is the Alpha, and then with His Majesty being the King of Kings, He is the Omega. And let me break this down scientifically. When it came to me, this is what came. Her being the Alpha, right? The one that brings forward the life, with her standing with Him, who is the Omega, the one that carries the seed, that's where life will be eternal. Because as far as I've been taught, I remember in the Bobo Shanti Liberty, Alpha means the beginning and Omega means without end. So with Him carrying the seed, because of Him, there would be no end. Because He could always, the black man, the male period could always impregnate the woman, which is His first, to continue life. You know, so that's what was revealed to me. Her being Alpha, Him being Omega. I know it's going to be controversial. People.
What do you have to tell the people about Rastafari?
Light to the world. The King of Kings and the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. Elected himself. Virtual ruler. Hey yo! Yeah. Hail them high, hail the black king on the 23rd of July. So tell them guy who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time them a try. Them Romans know them just open them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them come without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill. The lion will come conquer Judah tribe. Go through tribulation, and I strive, see sufferation, and I still rise. That's why we tell them in America, live Rastafari in every ghetto area. We come to tell them in a Toronto, straight to Italy.
I would say everything starts from within, right? And although, like I say, I had my mother as the perfect example, there was a vibe within me. Like I say, it sparked when I was about 12, 13. By 14, when I actually put my locks in, I put my head wrap on. And mystically, I used to play basketball, right? People like, you to play basketball, like one of the top players, right? Till I even had a scholarship.
What?
But when I was in high school and I had put my locks in 9th grade on the basketball team, I would have my turban on, right? All school, yeah. It was time to play sports now. You can't play sports with your head wrap on. And I'm like, okay, well, nobody gonna get me to take it off. When I realized I'm sitting on the bench, my team literally needs me on the court. I had to go and get, I don't know if you remember those headbands, they were kind of very thick.
Yes,
yes. Textile, and I had to take off my head wrap, shack out my roots, and just wear my Nike because I loved playing the sports too, you know?
Yeah.
And that would be one of the only times people would actually see my locks, you know? Or if I'm on the beach, sometimes I would even have it covered on the beach,
yes.
You know? But it's something inside of me that yearned for that churchical aspect,
okay.
that ceremonial aspect, you know? And I don't think it's just within Rastafari, but when you look on the global scale, when it comes to a woman going into a church setting or, you know, being in a place where ceremony is going on, the scriptures spoke about it too, and having her head covered and stuff like that, which I see that as an allegory too. You know, in prayer, the man being the head of the family, I would say, is your responsibility as well as the woman to pray for your king man. So I see that as not only just covering your head with a head wrap in prayer, but also covering your head, which would be your king man as well. Being your, yeah, that's how I saw it too, you know. And then coming to the Bobo Ashanti Liberty, I came to the Liberty, I would say I think I was 18 at the time. But before that, I had this yearning to want to go to the Beanie House too. You know, because I would see them come to the schools, they would yarn Ises and stuff. And, you know, when they need somebody to come read a scripture, I would go up, read the scripture. You know, I would just always connect with the Beanie. So I think that divinity within me, because we're not souls that just came. I feel like one of those souls that have been here from in the ancients of times. And my last presentation that I did at the Empress Menen, the Blue Fire Leadership Retreat, I did a presentation on the Sibyls. If you're not familiar with what the Sibyls are, the Sibyls were considered the first to receive the original prophecies, where the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, all these written prophecies were actually first revealed to females, these women of right, these righteous women, right? And I feel like I'm directly connected to them. Even one of my spiritual sisters, she told me that directly too, you know, as I continue to learn more about myself. When that was mentioned to me, it confirmed for me who I am. You know,
what do they call the Sibyls? You said the Sibyls?
Sibyls, yes.
Okay,
right?
I'll have to look them up. And you said they were the original prophetesses?
Correct. The original. Anything concerning, sorry.
Go ahead.
Anything concerning spirituality, civilization, healing, anything concern what they call magic, right? Knowing how to manipulate the sciences, right? Came from these Sibyls because they were directly connected to the creator. And of course, a lot of ones gonna judge me, but I'm fearless right now. Because like His Majesty said, we have to become that race that the world have ill prepared us for. So some things that are orthodox, it might seem unorthodox when I'm speaking, but this is how I'm seeing things based on what have been revealed to I. You know, because coming to the
Bobo a long time, you know, from birth.
And then coming to Bobo Ashanti as well, it have opened my eyes to questions that I've had, because I've had many questions as a youth. Like I said, we would stay in the scriptures, and some of the things I would always ask, well, how is Majesty gonna be the King of Kings and still be the lamb to the slaughter at the same time? Like, it wasn't adding up for me. You know what I'm saying? So as I came to Bobo Ashanti, it taught me of the mother, father, and the child. It taught me of the lamb, Emmanuel himself, the Christ, the one who came and sacrificed his life for I and I, to know who I and I is. You know, someone's misinterpret how I and I as Bobo Ashanti cite Emmanuel and think we're praising him or we're giving him honors outside of his imperial majesty. However, we know better than that, because it's a Trinity that we're hailing, not to say Emmanuel himself. And if you look at the term Emmanuel is interpreted God, Amlak, with us. So it's the same Haile, Selassie in reverence and the mother of creation. You understand? So when I'm speaking of the creators, I was mentioning, you know, with these Sibyls that we the Sibyls, I consider myself a Sibyl because what was revealed to me, even through Force, when I did the presentation, things are connected that if I go deep into it, is a whole topic by itself. You know, even with the birth of my mom being, you know, at 15 years, she had this serpent around her neck. As I studied what the feather snake and all of that represent, and the Amengazi woman would always have these snakes, those were people who represent themselves on earth as God and Goddess, you know, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, the Amlaks of creation, right? These goddesses, these Sibyls, you know, who are directly connected to the creator, who I see and know as Empress Menen. You understand? Not relegating our King of Kings, you know, because at the end of the day, they came together to create this life, to bring this life forward. However, we've been taught about the Alpha and Omega, right? We've been taught about the creator. And of course, in Liberty, we've been seeing Haile Selassie as that, the all in all, until Bobo Shanti taught me different of the mother of creation being reverenced. And as I continue to study more, this year have revealed certain things to me. Not this year, 2024 have, certain things have been revealed to I, where I would actually, from I think it was in 1999 into 2000, when I first started to hold the 21 days principle, I would literally reverence the mother of creation throughout the whole time, right? Not again disregarding the king, but that felt like a time I could really connect to the mother. Certain things would come to you divinely as a woman when you take the time to have the 21 days principle and practice it, study, embellishing it, because it was never something as like a slavery thing where the man would have you on the side, keeping you out of stuff. It was never supposed to be like that. Emmanuel said that so we could have a voice, so we could know ourselves more, so we could connect to the mother. The mother gave him that responsibility. Because if you study one of Empress Menen's titles, one of her titles is a Supreme and Just Majesty, right? Okay. So if she's a Supreme and Just Majesty, look at this world. They mimic everything off of I too, right? They have the regular courts, and then when they have to deal with something of paramount importance, you go to the Supreme Court, right? Same thing in the Bobo Ashanti Liberty. The Women's Freedom Liberation League, which we celebrated the 45th anniversary Sunday that just forward, on the 23rd day, when Emmanuel set the Women's Freedom Liberation League, he set it in a way that we could have a voice, and not only have a voice, have a say. Any kind of discrepancies or anything, the Women's Freedom Liberation League was supposed to rectify it. That's how much authority were given on to the woman in the Bobo Ashanti Liberty. It was never something to suppress the woman. Of course, it took a while for the brethren to adapt to certain things who might have been stiff-necked or hard-headed, but there were a lot of elders who knew of I responsibility. However, some of us also needed to learn and embrace that, especially coming out of the world of, slavery and being oppressed for so long, going through all those tribulations. For I to embrace such responsibility, we had to grow into that as well, and within the Trinity, I say all of that to say within the Trinity, which represents the mother, father, and the child, right? Who brings the life forward is the woman, is the mother. So she literally is the creator. And as I was doing in my presentation before, look at the term was zero. The word one. However, we know one is not the first number. Zero is the first number. So I connected the word zero with the number zero. Her being the dark hole, the nothingness where all things came from. So she literally has a certain divine nature within her that should be reverenced and should be honored and acknowledged as the Alpha. However, we've been taught that Haile Selassie is Alpha and then Empress Menen is Omega. However, for me, through the revelations, I've seen it different. Our mother is the Alpha, and then with His Majesty being the King of Kings, He is the Omega. And let me break this down scientifically. When it came to me, this is what came. Her being the Alpha, right? The one that brings forward the life, with her standing with Him, who is the Omega, the one that carries the seed, that's where life will be eternal. Because as far as I've been taught, I remember in the Bobo Shanti Liberty, Alpha means the beginning and Omega means without end. So with Him carrying the seed, because of Him, there would be no end. Because He could always, the black man, the male period could always impregnate the woman, which is His first, to continue life. So that's what was revealed to me. Her being Alpha, Him being Omega. I know it's going to be controversial. People is going to probably... Very controversial. Very controversial. People are going to fight me for it, but what came to me, and this is how I cite it.
Yes, very controversial. I always talk to Rasses, I think that the man is the head, is the Alpha, me hold that as I principle. And I know Blue Fire deal with the Rasses, and I say, Ras mean head. I don't know how that works, but
yes, but Alpha don't mean head though. I mean that's what we were taught. But yes. Alpha doesn't mean head.
It's beginning. The beginning.
And
you could say it begin with the seed of life, and the woman nurture the seed like the earth, planted in the earth. You know what I mean? But the seed is where the spark comes from. So I mean, it's reasoning, you know, it's a reasoning that has to take place. And it is very controversial. I'm a man that love the reasoning, you know. I will sit down here with you till morning. I will go back and forth and go through it deep. That is I, you know what I mean? But some people get emotional. And what I don't like, and this is why I say that we are non-aligned on this platform, even though I'm a Naya Bingi man, because we argue over the doctrine and then no work don't get done. You know what I mean?
Correct.
We will argue over the flag upside down, it upright, and then we don't have one school, we don't have one health center. You know what I mean? We don't have functioning businesses, but we are arguing. So that's, you know, but I love it though. I love the reasoning because that's how you sharpen, you know, that's how you sharpen your irids, and that's the tradition that I come from. You know what I mean? And the ones like Dr. Walete, Dr. Jazanai, some of the most brilliant women I know on this planet, you know what I mean? So I look forward for one day come sit up with the blue fire them and we're going at it and we hear all the angles, and we are gonna bring Ambassador 7 with I too. Because that's the reasoning man that, you know what I mean?
But you were saying, like I was saying about the Sibyls, right? I don't know if you're familiar with the Vatican itself. Some of the Sibyls, that was an area where the Sibyls' first churches or temples were built. Okay. It was in Vatican, it was in Jerusalem. You know, you're familiar with the fact that, of course, Empress Menen gave her crown of the nativity. Again, that was easy for her to do because her being the priestess too, you know, she holds the Trinity within herself as the mother of creation, just like the moon have its different phases, the waxing, the waning, the full. You know, our mother also represents that Trinity within herself, you know. Yes. And her
I look at that as an ultimate sacrifice, because when she was crowned, she was given that as a crown eternal, and from she gave up that crown, her health deteriorated, and she, you know, she left the physical form. I look at that as an ultimate sacrifice, you know what I mean?
And you gave it to the Church of the Nativity, which was in Bethlehem.
Yes.
We study Bethlehem. We study, there's a place called the Gates of Huldah, right? The Gates of Huldah have different churches, right? Or temples. And with these temples, again, these were the sacred seats of the Sibyls. And you know the story of Solomon and Sheba, where the ark was moved, so to speak. It was a whole mystical shift that took place. It's another controversial topic because ones would say Solomon have to do with, you know, a man that had a whole lot of women and stuff like that. But from my studies, I've understand again, soul of man, Ra-Amun, again, the Kandaki actually had to go to Ra-Amun to offer their sons in order for their sons to become kings, to sit on thrones. And this is why Sheba also had to take this trip to sit among Ra-Amun, Sal-Amun, in order for her son to sit on the throne. This is how the seed ended up through her lineage, that His Majesty could sit on the throne. And it was also moved from the north to the south. This is our glory when we study. You understand? So if you study even the kingdom of Aksum and you study those ancient kingdoms, Jerusalem and all these places were involved. It was never separated.
She's like the flowers in my garden, and her heart has never hardened, and she give me loving in the morning. Babylon, you are go fall without no warning. Black woman, I said I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could be my children's mother. But no struggle, so we both could help each other, and then I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could be my children's mother. But no struggle, so we both could help each other. Started in the village, now we in the city. Journey where we have together, everybody see. Spent a little time out in captivity. Babylon, their plan was to destroy the family. Still I want you to bring a child for me. Maybe in the spring when birds are sing lovely, maybe we could plan to have a summer baby. I can be the man that you depend on. Put the pen to the paper, made a love song. Babylon, they separated us for so long, and the reason that they hated us was so wrong. Still the most High, he created us, we so strong. Then same Kushite and the Dogon. Love your melanin, no follow for them program. Black woman, me not go pass on you for no one. No, no one, that's my slogan. Black woman, I said I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could be my children's mother. But no struggle, so people could help each other. Then I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could be my children's mother. But no struggle, so people could help each other. She's like the oxygen in my flame, loving where we have nobody can contain. Love so powerful, survive shackle and chain. Love it cross the ocean way before planes. Love survive them torture, rape and dear pain. When one escape, then the other get blame. That's why I never put no one above you. That's why I'm not ashamed to say I love you. That's why them dirty Babylon, they judge you. Feel the power when I kiss and when I hug you. Hold you for hours when I think about how they grudge you. I'm a lion, so I never gonna bug you.